Northwest corner, southwest corner, northeast corner, southeast corner. We're gonna be best friends. Okay, so this, as is implicit in the title, is a bookshelf tour video. Yeah, it is the lady in the street of videos, if you will, not the freak in the bed. It's all business. And aside from that groundbreakingly compelling satire that you just saw in the opening, there will be no comedy. If you think that me methodically listing the names of every single book I own sounds boring, then don't watch it. You've been warned. Ooh, this was boring. What did you expect? Yeah, Cirque du Soleil? Think how I felt editing it. Yeah, but I did edit it though. Why? Because you guys wouldn't stop requesting it. Would you? Just, oh, where's the bookshelf video? No bookshelf. I've done it now. So, shut up. Yeah? Pleasantries over with. Shall we? Here is an establishing shot. Enthralling already. On this shelf I've got hardbacks, so I've got Wicked, The Night Circus, Water for Elephants, The Art of Fielding, The Glass Room, Adverbs, The Horologicon, Tinkers, Enduring Love, and Our Tragic Universe by Scarlett Thomas. Underneath all of them is a bit of Poe. This shelf is science fiction and fantasy. We're kicking it off with Ready Player One, The Flowers for Algernon by Daniel Keyes, Orson Scott Card's Ender's Game, The Forever War, Richard Matheson's I Am Legend, Princess Bride, Brave New World by Huxley, Wasp Factory, Vonnegut's Slaughterhouse 5, 2001 by Arthur C. Clarke, The Hitchhiker's books by Douglas Adams, Harlan Ellison's Dangerous Visions, which is a collection of short sci-fi stories he's compiled, Harlan Ellison's I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, which are his short sci-fi stories, and Wool by Hugh Howey. This is a shelf I like to call Great Works by Great Men and Dave Eggers. Kicking it off, we've got Franzen's How to Be Alone, which is an essay collection. We've also got his The Corrections and Freedom, Wallace's Infinite Jest and The Pale King, Pynchon's Vineland, The Crying of Lot 49 and Inherent Vice, and then we've got Dave Eggers' You Shall Know Velocity and A Heartbreaking Work of Staggering Genius. This shelf is entitled Illustration. We've got Graphic, which is a compendium of sketchbook examples by graphic designers. We have Street Sketchbook, which is the same but for street artists. We have Ghost World by Jonathan Cape and Transmetropolitan by Warren Ellis, which are graphic novels. We also have Blankets, a graphic novel by Craig Thompson. The Acme Novelty Datebook, which is illustrations from the sketchbooks of Chris Ware. Chris Ware's Jimmy Corrigan, the smartest kid on earth. We have the graphic novel Mouse, If This Is a Man, which has some illustrations in it, and a illustrated copy of 1984. This shelf is entitled Magic, and thus cases Harry Potter, the English editions, Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, Lord of the Rings movie editions, and above it is the Harry Potter American box set. On this shelf we have authors I happen to have amassed more than one book from. Let's begin with John McGregor's So Many Ways to Begin. Pertinent. John McGregor, So Many Ways to Begin, Even the Dogs, and If Nobody Speaks of Remarkable Things. Murakami's Norwegian Wood, and Kafka on the Shore. And we've got Bolano's Savage Detectives, Nazi Literature in the Americas, and Monsieur Pain. Then we have Ellis's Rules of Attraction, Glamorama, Less Than Zero, and The Informers. To finish the shelf, we've got Coupland's Generation X and Girlfriend in a Coma. This shelf is entitled Bitter Alcoholic Men I Love and Wish I Was. We've got Bukowski's Pleasure of the Damned, Tales of Ordinary Madness, Post Office, Notes of a Dirty Old Man, and Run with the Hunted. Thompson's Fear and Loathing, Generation of Swine, and Kingdom of Fear. Last Exit to Brooklyn, Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451 and Farewell Summer. Burroughs' Naked Lunch, Kerouac's On the Road and Lonesome Traveller. Woolf's Old School, Jean Fante's After Dusk, and Wait Until Spring Bandini. Bandini is a recurring character of his. And we've got Walter Mosley's Walking the Dog. This shelf is entitled Coming of Age, and other Americans like to say are good in that. We'll start it with the works of John Green, Looking for Alaska, Abundance of Catherines, Paper Towns, Will Grayson, and The Fault in Our Stars. Penguin Master Studies on the Wasteland, and T.S. Eliot selected poems which include The Wasteland. Then we've got The Neon Bible by John Kennedy Toole, we've got Catcher in the Rye by Salinger, Plath's Belljar, Golding's Lord of the Flies, we've got Henry Miller's Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn, Roth's The Ghostwriter, Cormac McCarthy's The Road, Disgrace, Julius Winsome, and The Man in My Basement. This shelf I've entitled everything I love. So we have a signed copy of Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close. Everything is illuminated. Then we've got Extremely Loud and Everything's Illuminated in paperback. Tree of Codes. And then we have Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close and Everything's Illuminated in one volume. Bruno Schultz's Street of Crocodiles, which is what Jonathan Safran Foer based Tree of Codes on. Then we have my America vase and my Kindle, which is evocative of the never-ending story. This shelf is entitled Books Which Are the Same Size. We've got Carter Beats the Devil by Glenn David Gould, Cavalier and Clay, John Irving's A Prayer for Owen Meany, Middlesex by Geoffrey Eugenides, Sebastian Faulk's Birdsong, Shadow of the Wind and Angel's Game by Carlos Ruiz Zafón, The Dice Man by Luke Reinhardt, and The Snow Child by Eowyn Ivey. Above those we have Room by Emma Donoghue, Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman Good Omens, The Stranger's Child by Alan Hollinghurst, and The Interpretation of Murder. This shelf is non-fiction and Doug. We've got Dawkins' The Greatest Show on Earth, Voluntary Madness, Steven Pinker's The Blank State, Klein's The Shock Doctrine, The Universe Next Door, Hawkins' A Brief History of Time, Quantum, The Psychopath Test, Fermat's Last Theorem, Bill Bryson's Short History of Nearly Everything, Bedlam, and Psycho-Cybernetics. On this shelf we have classics. Faulkner's The Sound and the Fury and As I Lie Dying, Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird, Fitzgerald's The Great Gatsby, Joyce's The Portrait of an Artist as a Young Man, Labyrinth, Libra, Zeno's Conscience, John Kennedy Toole's Confederacy of Dunces, which is one of my favourite books. I've got Joseph Conrad, Heart of Darkness, This Person's Through the Wall, Sana gave me that, I have no idea how to pronounce it, George Orwell's Down and Out in London, Paris, and Animal Farm, Arthur Schnitzler's Dream Story, which is what Eyes Wide Shut is based on, The End of the Affair by Graham Greene, Hemingway's Movable Feast and Old Man in the Sea, Beckett's Waiting for Godot, or God, or Godot, Virginia Woolf's Mrs. Dalloway, and Don Quixote. This shelf is a mishmash of books that are good and books that I didn't know where else to put. Johnny Got His Gun by Dalton Trumbo, we've got Lawless by Matt Bondurant, we've got The Killer Inside Me, Jim Thompson, Atwood's Oryx and Craig, Love in the Time of Cholera, The Sisters Brothers by Patrick DeWitt, paperback copy of Tinkers by Paul Harding, Alan Silito's The Loneliness of the Long Distance Runner, which is short stories, more short stories by Raymond Carver, What We Talk About When We Talk About Love, Fugitive Pieces, Ian McEwan Solar, The Colour Purple, Beloved, classics, Finn Taylor's Entertaining Strangers, and Matthew Crow's My Dearest Jonah. I don't know what they are. They were in a charity shop and they were like advanced reader test copy things. Tokyo Doesn't Love Us Anymore, and The Greatest Gift by Danny Lee. Attached to my desk I have a shelf of journals. This shelf I've entitled The Mind, whether it be philosophically or literally in the case of Freud. So we have Introducing Kant, The Essentials of Psychoanalysis by Freud, Nat Hampson's Hunger, House of the Dead and Notes from the Underground by Dostoevsky, Seneca's On the Shortness of Life, Milan Kundera's The Unbearable Lightness of Being, Kafka's The Castle, The Fall, the Plague and the Outsider by Albert Camus, Jean-Paul Sartre, Nausea and Being and Nothingness. Then we've got Beyond Good and Evil by Nietzsche, Godel, Escher and Bach and Eternal Golden Braid by Douglas Hofstadter. This shelf is dedicated to books I think women might read on holiday. So we've got The Book Thief by Zizek, The Hours, Heft by Liz Moore, When God Was a Rabbit by Sarah Winman, Owen Shear's Resistance, Donna Tartt's Secret History and The Little Friend, The Woman Warrior by Maxine Kingston, Daphne du Maurier, The Birds and Other Stories, Gilead by Robinson, Daily Smith, I Capture the Castle, Scarlett Thomas's The End of Mr. Y, White Teeth by Zadie Smith, Natasha Solomon's Mr. Rosenblum's List, Mr. Pip by Lloyd Jones, no idea what that was in an offer in Tesco's, Amrash's Menagerie, don't know if that's how you say it, and Nicole Krause's Grey House. She's Jonathan Safran Foer's wife. Bitch. This shelf is dedicated to oversized books and a bit of non-fiction. The Ladies of Grace a Duel by Susanna Clarke, another copy of Jamrash's Menagerie, which is great because I couldn't say it the first time, DBC Pierre's Vernon Godlittle, Arthur and George by Julian Barnes, The History of Love, also by Nicole Krauss, Charles Dickens' Alive, Louis Theroux's Call of the Weird, Bill Bryson's Life and Times of the Thunderbolt Kid, Let the Great World Spin by Colin McCann, Howard Jacobson and the Finkler Question. Don't know if that's any good, but it said that Jonathan Safran Foer recommended it. And then Woody Allen's Complete Prose. The Man Who Broke Into Auschwitz. Got The Jail, the story of London's most notorious prison. Brilliant book on the American West, Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee. This shelf is books that are films and books that aren't on other shelves. Boy in the Striped Pyjamas, Life of Pi by Yann Martel, The Alchemist and Veronica Decides to Die by Coelho, Ishiguro's Remains of the Day and Never Let Me Go, Ian McEwan's Atonement, Julian Barnes' A Sense of an Ending, We Need to Talk About Kevin, The Kite Runner, Cloud Atlas, Before I Go to Sleep, Susan Hill's The Woman in Black, and then a couple of Stephen King. Then we have the controversial objectivist piece, The Fountainhead, and Atlas Shrugged. Under the desk we have YA and a bit random really. This shelf is film, so we've got Hollywood cinema, film theory and criticism, Stanley Kubrick by Vincent Labruto, Stanley Kubrick by James Naremore, another book on Kubrick. Then we have Lucas, Spielberg, Remapping World Cinema, Contemporary World Cinema, and Accented Cinema, and Theorizing National Cinema. Book on Tarantino, we have Easy Riders and Raging Bulls, another book on Spielberg, and Film Art, an introduction by Bordwell and Thompson, which every self-respecting film student either loves or hates. This shelf is America and Dali. We've got A People and Nation, which is a behemoth textbook on the history of America. We've got the Norton Anthology of Poetry, American Literature Anthologies, Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, American Studies, Primetime Animation, which is incongruous, and also Dali. This shelf is art and books that I've put here. Secret, Fairies by Brian Froud, How to Draw Facial Expressions, Banksy, Volcano Lover by Susan Sontag, Smithsonian Institution by Gord Vidal, Short History of Tractors in the Ukraine, Plays of New York, Behind the Scenes at the Museum, The Melancholy Death of Oyster Boy, The Autobiography of My Mother by Jamaica Kincaid, the Eon Colfer edition to The Hitchhiker's Guide, and The Min Pins by Roald Dahl. And here we have The Fixer by Bernard Malamud, and we have Paris Bazaars, which is a collection of writings on Paris. This shelf is dedicated to fact-based books. And we have this bookcase, which is just kind of floating and full of books that I bought as a teenager. I have no idea what to do with. Up here we have random books. Finally we have Game of Thrones, and the books that I am currently reading, which are The 100-Year-Old Man and The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry. So, without further ado, we've had a bit of a do. I know people don't like a do. There's more ado, you do now, I am. That's a sentence I never want to say again. Let's go.